Check. All right. You've got volume. Mr. Money Mike Madness is in the building. Mike, don't worry about missing the last one, man. I hope you're doing well and everything's going okay. Daniel, how are you? Mr. Retro Gaming, what's going on? Jack, how you doing? Mandy, DJ, Beast, what's up, my friend? Sergio, how are you? Michaela, what's going on? This would be an interesting live stream, folks. Also, check it out. Remember this bad boy? This is my very first Red Sea radio hat. I found it the other day when I was cleaning out. And so I had to wear it on the live stream because I'm assuming you're talking about the White Sox there, Mr. Versatility. Yeah, it was at one point signed by Jared Saltalamacchia. Yeah, it was a good try, Versatility, but I saw it beforehand. All right, so for those of you who have been in and out of these live streams over the past couple of weeks, this could be a bit of a new one for me. We talked about it last time. And I think the plan going forward for the offseason is going to still be streaming every week, but every other week is going to be what we call a power hour, which is basically we're just going to slam through the hottest news items for the Red Sox in about an hour or so. We're going to have some discussions. We're going to have all these good stuff, but we're going to try and condense into 1 hour because I don't want to sit here and just have the same conversations week in and week out because that's a lot of what the offseason is going to be if we stream every week. So I figured if we did one that was a little bit quicker, we'd try to avoid that. We'd still get some fresh new news. And luckily for us, we got some big old news today, folks, because just a couple of hours ago, it was announced that Masataka Yoshida did end up getting shoulder surgery on his, I forget which shoulder's injured. I believe it's the right one. Don't get me wrong. I'll look it up exactly. But so the big news and the big story we're going to be focusing on in this power hour, we got to find a different name for it, by the way. I feel like everyone calls them a power hour. It's left. Yeah, see, that's why I wanted to look it up. But we got to find a new name for it. I feel like everyone calls whatever they do in an hour a power hour, so we gotta figure that out together. What is going to be... Moss is in incredible shape, Michaela. Moss is in great shape. It's certainly not a shape issue. All right, so let's go to the official tweet. Masataka Yoshida had shoulder surgery earlier this month. While a recovery timetable is unknown, the news further complicated. Okay, Chris, come on. Let me get the official one. Oh, there we go. Underwent a labral repair of his right shoulder. Right now, the Red Sox say they're targeting opening day for Yoshida. I don't totally love that. I would be pretty surprised if he's ready to go for opening day. I mean, it is still 6 months, right? But this really sort of totally changes the landscape of the Red Sox offseason because even if he is ready to go for opening day, a very difficult contract just became essentially next to impossible to trade, right? It's going to Red Sox quick shots. I like that a lot, Jack. I like that a lot. Right, it's going to be almost impossible to get that moved because it's going to be, I mean, if you're a team, right, you're already hesitant because of all the issues he had throughout the season with his thumb, and then he went through some slumps, and then you wouldn't play him on the field, so what's up with that, right? And now you add on top of it, is he even going to be healthy for opening day? That's a lot of problems right there that the Red Sox just don't have answers to, and it's going to make it pretty impossible to trade. So right off the bat, you've pretty immediately taken, I would say, probably the Red Sox, at least in terms of fans, right? I would say, at least in terms of fans, the Red Sox number one possible trade target or trade player on their team. I don't really know what to call that. Completely off the block, basically. Now you're in an interesting situation, right? Because you're most likely going into next year. That means with Masataka Yoshida either as your full-time DH or maybe you could try and play him on the field now that his shoulder's healthy, even though I still don't think that's the way the Red Sox are going to go. I think part of it was the shoulder stuff, but I mean, Alex Cora, for the most part, doesn't usually lie about injuries throughout an entire season. Maybe it was just simply because they wanted to try and move him at the deadline and couldn't get anything done. I don't know, right? But it totally changes the way the Red Sox are going to look at this. In my opinion, I think it totally changes it. I don't know about you guys. Like, for you, so one of the big things that I saw got brought up on Twitter a bunch by not even just like random people on Twitter, by like legitimate accounts on Twitter, was, do we have a conversation about DFAing Masataka Yoshida? Personally, I would say no. I think, he's still worth the value of the contract. It's not so much that Masa is a bad player. It's just that he doesn't totally fit with the roster the Red Sox are trying to construct over the next couple of years. I don't know if that's going to be something where that should be on the table. I don't know. I don't like that idea. Can we put him on the 60-day out for the next 3 seasons? You can't option. Does he have options left? I don't really know how that works with. Yeah, I suppose you could option him. DJ's right. You do the idea of optioning. It would be the entire contract if he was DFA'd. I just threw that out there because I saw that from a couple of people on Twitter. Just dump him. I don't think he's unproductive enough where you say just dump him, right? Again, you look at Masa's like stat line here. He was 15 according to Fangraphs, right? He had a 115 WRC plus. He still had a really low K rate, not a great walk rate, but it still wasn't terrible, right? I don't think this is certainly not worth eating. What, $15-20 million a year, $18 million a year? That to me that doesn't make any sense, right? Like, he's still a productive player. To pay him to play somewhere else for free makes no sense to me. Casas to Seattle for George Kirby. 1, they are not going to give up Casas or George Kirby for just Casas. 2, you can get that done without trading Casas. That makes no sense. Yeah, it wouldn't be a good look if they DFA'd Masa. So now the question becomes, what do you do, right? Because you look at the roster construction, it was like, well, if you traded Masa, it sort of opens out a whole lot of possibilities. You can now utilize that DH as a more versatile option that Craig Breslow and Alex Cora have wanted for the entirety of and obviously Craig hasn't been here a long time, but even when Alex Cora was here earlier, he wanted that to be versatile. There's a reason he was still playing JD Martinez on the field. He wants that position to be utilized almost as a day off for players on the field, right? And it works for a lot of teams. Now you don't really have that option. So now it becomes, okay, so how do you make room for Roman Anthony? If you want a Christian Campbell at some point, if you want to, if you want a Marcelo Meyer, if you want a Kyle Teal, these guys, there's roster spots that have to be given away, right? So I don't know. I don't know how the Red Sox make that work without trading Masa. Because you could hypothetically, I was just about to say, you could hypothetically go from the depth, right? Trading a Valdez, a Sogard, a Hamilton. That opens up spots on your 26-man roster and gets these guys in the building, but you still got to get them into the games every day, right? And on top of that, too, it's not only just the prospects. The Red Sox want to balance out this lineup, which means bringing somebody else in. Where do you put that person? There's no space. So I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of the conversation, Patrick, right? But at the same time, too, he didn't really take away from Abreu's 2024 campaign. The problem is you just don't have the room. Yeah, O'Neill can't be re-signed, sure, but even if you want to go out and get a Teoscar Hernandez or trade for a Brent Rooker or someone crazy like that, there's still no room on this team. Once he does play, yeah, that's sort of that's and the other part of this too is I don't think enough people are talking about it. The relationship between Moss and the Red Sox right now can't be super fantastic. It can't be, right? Massa was openly unhappy that he hasn't been playing the field. All of them, Cora, Breslow, they were like, no, dude, you're not playing the field. And Massa's like, I don't know why I'm not playing the field. He had an issue with the way that the thumb thing was handled. He had to get a second, I think a third opinion on that thumb before they figured out before he was comfortable saying he didn't need surgery. Right now you get this in the offseason where it was sort of like, hey, I might need surgery on my shoulder, and the Red Sox were like, what? Right? So I can't imagine the relationship's that good there. There's got to be some tension between Massa and the Red Sox. I don't know. Is Roman Anthony really ready for the majors, though? I'd have him stay a half year at AAA and then move him up. You could make the case. You could make the case that he's not ready, but I mean, you're going to have a bit of a hard time doing that. Every measurable statistic about Roman Anthony is that he's absolutely destroying AAA. Right? I'm just taking a look. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up his lefty-righty splits. I mean, he was quite literally better against lefties than he was against righties. He was good against both. He had an 895 OPS against righties this year and a 904 OPS against lefties. So it's not like he's got a lefty problem. He did start out slow, I'll say that. He had a really bad April, but then absolutely just destroyed May, June, July, August, September. Right, he's hitting with runners in scoring position, home and away. About the same. He's a bit better away, but I mean, that's just minor league parks, right? It doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's the other part of it too, right? I mean, obviously the extra draft pick would be fantastic. Bring him up halfway through the year kind of negates that. He'd still lose his rookie status, but he probably wouldn't be in all that much of a position to win rookie of the year. There's the other part of that, They also have a stat on here on Baseball Reference in terms of his splits versus older pitchers. I don't know what that means, but he's good against like every single possible way you can look at it in terms of his offensive ability. Roman Anthony's ready for the majors. He is, right? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to find a case not to have him on the major league team, if we're being honest. Like it's difficult to figure out. I mean, the one thing you could possibly point to in terms of why you wouldn't have Roman Anthony is because of his strikeout rate in AAA. Specifically because you are facing some major league pitching. But, I mean, even then, right, it's an 18.9% strikeout rate, but he's walking the exact same amount. He walked, let me get the exact walking. Okay. He walked 31 times. He struck out 31 times, right? So it's in 131 at-bats, 164 plate appearances, right? I don't know. It's yeah. Nah, he's probably pretty straight up right field or outfield beast. Rafi had 12 errors this year. We need someone over there and him at DH. What are you gonna do with Massa? Right? You can't just not play him. That's an interesting conversation, Mark. That's an interesting conversation. The big problem that I've run into with the idea of signing Willy Adames is that he's going to have, unless you absolutely blow him away, I'm talking just flat out overpay for him, right? There's going to be another team that's in the same realm, that's in the same ballpark, that's going to say, hey, we want you at shortstop. A team that I'm looking at right away for Adames is the Braves, right? They've got Orlando Arcia over there, and he wasn't super great this year. I don't know if they have a shortstop prospect coming up, but that feels like a team. And again, you can say to him, hey, you want to be a second baseman for the Red Sox. You want to be the starting shortstop for the Braves. That's the problem. It's going to be hard to convince Adames unless you pull a Trevor Story, right, where every other team's scared to give him money because he might get injured, and then boom, he gets injured, right? Luis Robert or Schwarber need a big power bat. The Red Sox, they don't necessarily need power. The Red Sox have a lot of potential power. They've got Rafi, they've got Tristan. Roman Anthony comes up. He had the hardest hit ball in the entirety of the organization last year. Abreu can give you 20-plus home runs if he's still with the team, right? Duran had 20-plus home runs this year. You had the 7th or 8th most home runs in the entire sport. The power is not the problem. Power is not the problem with this offense. It hasn't been. The problem with this offense is consistency, right? They haven't consistently been solid. For a while now. They've been up and they've been down. You need to find a way to balance it out. And I think that's why the Red Sox have been talking about balancing out this lineup, because that could lead to more consistency. Driving in runs, I don't even think they had a problem driving in runs. Let me see. I think if we look at it strictly eye test, you might say that, but what does it look like? Let's look at just RBIs. Regular season RBIs. Red Sox were 9th in baseball. No, they don't have a problem driving in runs, right? They were a top 10 team in baseball. Any statistic you look at, the only statistic the Red Sox offensively struggled in was strikeouts, where they were the 3rd worst team in baseball. Average, they were 6th in baseball all year. They were 9th in on-base percentage, which is still really good. They were 6th in slugging, which means they're going to be 7th in on-base percent, or OPS, sorry. They had the 9th most home runs, the most amount of doubles, the 6th most amount of hits, and the 9th most amount of runs. Right? It's not, the offense isn't a problem on its own. There's one piece of the offense that needs to get better, but it's the offense in its own right isn't a massive issue. But like statistically, you guys are sitting there saying, "Oh, but they kill rallies." Statistically, they don't, right? Statistically, they score more runs. They've scored more runs. They drive in more runs than 21 other teams. Right? How is that killing rallies, right? I think we look at the last 3 weeks of the season, we say, man, those guys, they couldn't score a run, because for the last 3 weeks of the season, they couldn't. But even if you include those, you still scored more runs. You drove in more runs than 21 other teams in the sport. And I'll tell you what, the 8 teams in front of you, 9 teams in front of you, whatever it is, outside of the Diamondbacks, they all made the postseason. Dodgers, Yankees, Orioles, Phillies, Brewers, Mets, Padres. Yeah, but they don't necessarily do it when it counts. But again, right? You're talking about what you believe. I'm talking about the actual statistics. The actual statistics are telling you more times than not, more times than 21 other teams in the sport, they did score those runs. Yeah, no, the strikeout's the big thing, right? If you cut down on the strikeouts, you were a top 10 offense in baseball last year. It's not even a question. Right? To be top 10 in every other statistic and to be bottom 3 in strikeouts is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? Like that's the big problem right there. I don't have runners to scoring position directly in front of me. I guess I could look it up. Well, sure. AT, at the end of the day, right? In losses, they're going to score less runs than the other team scored. Yes, right? And again, I think you're focusing on the last 3 weeks of the season. You got to look at the whole season. Yeah, the errors are the other thing, right? You look at the errors, and it's just the defense and it really boils down to it. At the end of the day, the offense had their problems, and it's certainly something that needs to be addressed. But the reason the Boston Red Sox, honestly, weren't even competitive against the Orioles, I'm not even talking about the Yankees at this point, because the Yankees are in an entirely different ballpark right now. You take away half the errors the Red Sox had, and you put them in the middle of the league in strikeouts, because then you're putting the ball in play much more often. Versatility's right. You are a playoff team. AT, I think you're looking at. All right, Mark, have a good one, man. I think you're looking at it as I'm a fan and I watched every game, instead of, hey, what do the statistics tell me? Because as a fan, what sticks out the most are the opportunities lost when you don't make the playoffs, right? As a fan of this team, we look at the second the season ends and the Red Sox don't make it. Like I said today, in the video today, right? Every time I've watched the last 3 postseasons, I've looked at every single team and I've said, what was the difference between the Red Sox this year and the Brewers and the Mets and the Dodgers and the Padres and the Yankees and the Astros and all these teams, right? What was the difference between them? And what sticks out to you is all the negative parts of this season. These players got to start playing to put the ball in play instead of all launch. Wade Boggs did it for, yeah, that's fine. Wade Boggs, but it's one thing, and vaping, this isn't directly at you, but one thing I hate what people say is when they make arguments and they're like, oh, just have them all be like a Hall of Fame baseball player, one of the better contact players in the history of the game of baseball. Just have them be like that guy, right? How many players make the Hall of Fame? Like 0.01% of them, right? There's a reason those guys are the best, the best, the best. Not every player can do what they did. Gold Glove caliber players were making errors consistently. What up, friend? Um, I guess I agree with you, Andre, a bit. I'm running through sort of the real problem here is if we go through the Red Sox defense, right? The big problem here is if we go through the Red Sox defense. If I can get to it, that'd be great. Let's see who had the most errors on the team this year. Rafi, Cedon, and then David Hamilton, right? And part of this is just strictly games played. But what stands out to me is you had, David Hamilton specifically. Yeah, I think David Hamilton and say Don making those errors. You take away Story's injury, and those are cut basically at minimum in half, right? But 10 errors for David Hamilton in 94 games is brutal. Honestly, Tyler O'Neill, right? 7 errors in 95 games isn't much better. Dom Smith had 7 in his time here. No, yeah, and I totally agree with you, versatility. That's why I'm not totally crushing, say, Don Rafaela for doing that. I think that's the reason why he didn't end up being nominated for a Gold Glove utility-wise. I still think that's absolutely ridiculous, but I mean, you look at it, and also 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of those errors came from pitchers. That's kind of wild. That's kind of wild. Well, in all fairness, Andre, Devers is not a Gold Glove caliber player. Oh, O'Neill being bad defensively was absolutely a shock. I think you sort of you could sort of take away Abreu had 7 in 130 games. Duran had 6 in 160 games. Right, I think you kind of take those away mostly because they were so good defensively outside of that. They kind of made up for it. But like I'm just looking at it position wise. You had 16 errors just between Valdez and Hamilton alone. That's basically your second base. 3 from Von Grissom. So now you're up to 19. Pablo Reyes, who spent some games at second base, had 4. Romy had 5. He played some second. Like, second base was such a big problem for the Red Sox defensively this year. What up, Craig? Hey, thanks so much for watching this year, man. How was Soto and Verdugo nominated? It has a lot to do with the outs above average. They're pretty solid outs above average wise. It's also like Yankee State playing 81 games at Yankee Stadium with a very small outfield isn't, it helps people a lot. What up, Shane? So, you look at the problems on the Red Sox. I think it comes down to, I know, Mike, I'm sorry. It's just statistics, dude. That's all I can do. Let's talk about the statistics, right? 10 errors in 90 games. Not great, right? That's essentially on pace for almost 20 errors if he played every single game. You think Valdez would have been a big boost? No, dude. Talk about some of the good things. Mike, we've given Hamilton flowers many a times on this channel. At the end of the day, when we're talking about who David Hamilton is, he as much as you love him, dude, he's a defensive, or he's not even a defensive replacement. He's a bench player, right? He's a very, very fast bench player. He could steal you a ton of bases. He had 33 stolen bases this year, but he was below average offensively. He was a negative player defensively. And there's some hope, right? At the end of the year, he looked a lot better defensively. But again, you've got so much. I don't know. 280 isn't cutting it. 280 solid. 280 solid. Yeah, I don't know if it's just getting back to the basics or if it's just getting guys. Did I see the comment? No, I didn't. I don't know if it's so much getting back to the basics as it is. I appreciate that, Shane. Thank you so much for watching for so long, man. I think that's my next door neighbor. Sorry, I just didn't know if that was my smoke alarm. I wanted to be sure. What's up, Wonder Dave? I sit here and it's just I don't know if it's basics or if it's just getting guys comfortable. Right? I mean, think about it. I think a lot of the errors this year had to do with players not playing their totally natural positions. Again, you go back to this list of people who made the most errors on the team. Say Don was playing major league at the major league level in his first year at the major league level. Shortstop, center field, second base, third base, right field, right? He played 5 different positions. David Hamilton was never supposed to be an everyday shortstop. They said that when he first came up, and then they totally switched gears because they didn't have another option. You look at this, Romy Gonzalez's 5 errors. He played every single position on the diamond outside of catcher. That was out of necessity. Pablo Reyes being in there every day, that shouldn't have happened. You had Connor Wong, who had 6 errors on the season. You had him playing center field, first base, second base, left field. Yeah, Rooker's an interesting conversation. Chances the Red Sox sign Max Fried and Jack Flaherty, like 2%. Man, my iPad is dying at an insane rate. I mean, Rooker's 30, dude. He's not exactly crazy old, and he's coming into his own. I don't know. He'd probably be solid for another 3 or 4 years. When's he a free agent? 2028. If you trade for him and have him until 2028, yeah. Right? How does Campbell, Meyer, and Anthony look as defensive players? Campbell's really good. Campbell's unbelievably athletic. He can play all over the place. Anthony looks really solid in the outfield. I would have no problem with him being an everyday player. Meyer, he's got smooth hands. He's got he looks good at shortstop. I don't know if he's going to be an everyday shortstop forever, but I think I'd be comfortable putting him there. Yeah, we're gonna make a video on Brent Rooker at some point about trading for him. I just, the price. You're right. The price is ridiculous. The price is ridiculous. What's up, Eric? Do the Red Sox sacrifice offense for pitching, or do you think they'll mainly hit the free agent market? I mean, ideally, right? You sit here and you try and figure out what the Red Sox should do. If the Boston Red Sox just went out and spent money like the Boston Red Sox should, you fix all of the pitching problems pretty immediately. The only thing you really need to worry about is how you're going to figure out the bullpen, right? Because I don't think the entirety of a bullpen rebuild can be done just strictly on the free agent market. But, you go out there and you actually spend the way you're supposed to spend. And we talked about this. We're going to talk about this all off season because it's until they actually do something. Because until they actually do something, this is all we're going to be able to say. Is if they can actually get out there and be the team that asset-wise that they are on paper, Max Fried coming in. You get Max Fried, and you get let's say you take a shot on a Walker Buehler or Shane Bieber, right? All of a sudden, the bullpen problem goes from, okay, who the hell goes into the bullpen, to, okay, now you got Whitlock for sure in there, and I think he's in there regardless. You get Cutter in there, because I think Cutter would be the next to go into the bullpen. All of a sudden, you've got depth in the rotation. Where's Rafael play? I think you have to play him in center field. He could easily be the best defensive center fielder in baseball if he played every game out there. Yeah, Romeo's very clutch out the bench. They got to try and dump Yoshida. It just became impossible. He just got surgery. They who's gonna pick that up? Who's gonna pick up that contract? Who plays second? I think right now it goes to Von Grissom. In my opinion, it depends on how Christian Campbell does during. I think Christian Campbell and Roman Anthony will be the ones that get an invite to big league camp for spring training. I think those are the two that get the invite. Both of them or either of them make the team out of camp? I don't know. I think there's going to be a legitimate. One, it depends on if they could trade, right? One, it depends on if they could trade. Two, it truly depends on who's better, who's a better fit at the time. What about Teal? I think the Red Sox are going to be a little bit more patient with Teal. I mean, he looked really good at the end of the year. But I think in terms of catching's so much different, because catching, you have to be able to not only get the offense that you want to get from Teal, which he looks fantastic at. You also have to be not only a good defender, but a good captain, essentially, right? You have to be able to command a game, and that takes time to learn. So I really wouldn't be shocked if Kyle Teal's one of those players that comes up right near when Marcelo Meyer comes up, right? Which would probably be, I would guess, probably midway through 2025. Right? I don't know. I don't see Teal. I don't see Teal coming out and being like a opening day roster guy. Maybe I'm totally off base, and maybe the Red Sox are totally comfortable with what happened, but name the starting lineup in 2025. I honestly don't know if I can. I have no idea which way the Red Sox are going to go with anything this offseason, right? Like I guess I would think Duran. I would think Duran. Who would you put in the 2 spot? Yeah, Vaughn looked good in the 2 spot. Travis d'Arnaud. It wouldn't be the problem with anyone you're gonna pick up, unless you're willing to trade Connor Wong, which I don't think they'd be totally opposed to, right? The problem is anyone you pick up, if you're going to stay with Connor Wong, a guy like d'Arnaud, a guy like bringing back Jansen for what it's worth or whatever, is you have to be willing to part with them halfway through the season. They would have to understand that, right? Think the Sox should take a chance on Camilo Duvall from his value is down. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. He was disgusting under Andrew Bailey. Potentially trade Wong then. The problem with that, Fortnite, is if you do that, then you're gonna have a constant stream of what do you do with catcher, because you simply can't have Hey, what's going on, Trevor? You simply can't have Kyle Teal catch every single game, right? It's not feasible in Major League Baseball right now. So if you did pick up a Travis d'Arnaud and you traded Connor Wong, what's going on, Robbie? You trade Connor Wong midway through the season, and Travis d'Arnaud on a 1-year deal at 36 years old is your backup catcher. What do you do next year and the year after that, right? Are the Sox going to make a blockbuster trade this offseason? I don't know if it's going to be a blockbuster trade. The idea in, I think, most of our heads would be yes, right? Well, then Travis d'Arnaud isn't even an option. We're good. The idea, I think, in most of our heads. Hey, what's up, Mr. Bob Dylan? How you doing? Is that they have to make a big trade, right? They have to be able to make the trade that we've all been waiting for, the massive one. So trade Teal? No, it's not. It's not that Teal can't catch. It's that I think they're going to be cautious bringing him up because they want to make sure he is 100% ready to catch major league games at a level that they need him to. I don't think it's a matter of can he or can he not do it. I think it's a matter of making sure he has the easiest bridge to Major League Baseball. Opinion on winter weekend possibly not happen next year. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks a lot. I'm going to be upset if the Red Sox end up not doing winter weekend. It sounds like they're going to do something at Fenway. I'll probably still go to that. It was so fun going to winter weekends, seeing everyone, making the videos. I'll be upset if it doesn't happen. I think it's kind of a cop-out move to do that. You haven't seen a great defensive. Well, I didn't realize you were the scout for the Red Sox, right? Yeah, that's kind of the idea, Robbie. Yeah, it's about timing with Teal, in my opinion. There's a theory that Logan Gilbert will become available. Maybe, right? Maybe. You have to trade for Cal Riley. He's not a free agent. I'd be pretty shocked if they just throw him out on the trade market like that. If Logan Gilbert does, right, for me to shock you, I guess. No, yeah, not a shot. Not a shot John Henry will be there. Appreciate you very or Austin. Thank you so much. You want to move Duran? Wow. That is a shock. I don't know, man. I don't love the idea of, and we've had this Duran conversation 1,000 times on this channel, so I'm not gonna dive too deep into it. My thing that I will say is I don't unless again the perfect deal comes along, unless they do throw out Logan Gilbert, right? Logan Gilbert and a prospect with him for Jarren Duran. You know what I mean? I don't know. Any chance Sandy Alcantara gets moved this offseason? In general, no. I would guess probably not. I would guess probably not, mostly because his value is just super low. It means change is coming. Yeah, that's true, Mr. Bob Dylan. That's a good point. What are their catching options? I mean, right now there's not much, right? You've got Connor Wong. Everyone else is totally, you would have to bring in from the outside, or Kyle Teal. Those are really the two options. Yeah, that's not going to happen. That will never happen. Yeah, it's just not close. Kevin Gosman, yeah, that'd be an interesting one. I'd be interested to see what the package would look like. My only fear with Garrett Crochet, and I think we talked about this last live stream. I can't remember, but my big fear with Garrett Crochet is you take a look at the market right now, and obviously things are going to change once people get into the offseason and figure out an idea of what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. Is if he's the only one available, not only is his price immediately going to be extremely high, you're also going to have other teams vying for it, other teams putting together packages, and all of a sudden you're sitting there, 3 weeks into conversations with them, and you're like, man, they really got us to put Anthony, or they really got us to put Meyer, Campbell, and Willier on the table for this guy. That's my fear with it, right? Is that you're going to overpay for a guy who, in my opinion, has a ton of potential, and a lot of people really, really want on the Red Sox, and I understand why. But at the same time, too, it's a guy who's had a half season of true success. Every other part of his game so far in the major leagues hasn't been up to that potential, and that's what scares me. Not to mention all the injury stuff we've been talking about. I'd only move Durant if he didn't want to be here. Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't want to be here, sure. But I think you're going to have to make some tough decisions. Are Batista or Cano available? Probably not. Rafaela should serve in the Romy Gonzalez off. No. I don't think they'll extend a qualifying offer to O'Neill. I think Cedon's defense is worth it to keep him out there. I mean, you won a World Series with Jackie Bradley Jr. in your offense, or on your offensive squad, right? If that's the ceiling Cedon has, you could still do very well. Yeah, Jesse, it'll do that to me. They'll do that to me. Dane Jansen on 1 year deal to give Kyle Teel time. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, right? I think it would actually be a smart idea for the Red Sox to sign maybe a true backup catcher, just simply to cover their bases. What if the Red Sox went after Reed Detmers? Yeah, it's not a bad idea, right? It's not a bad idea at all. Duran's a Gold Glover. Willier is too, though. Still got guys who can go get it. Yeah, I mean, true. But at the same time, too, wouldn't you rather have, like, the Red Sox defense in 2018 was the best defensive defense in baseball, right? If you can get your defense to that point, and again, we talked about it, errors and misplays throughout the field absolutely killed this team this year. Yeah, I'd like if the Red Sox hold on to Willier, he's gonna have to play every day. Yeah. What do I think about Glaber? Glaber's fine. He's just gonna be kind of expensive. He's kind of up and down. He's not great defensively. I don't know if that's truly the biggest option. No, I don't think you're wrong, Jack. I think a lot of people would actually agree with you. How much more development does Teel need? Not a lot, right? It's not like I'm talking about Teel being 2 years down the road. I'm talking about Teel being 2 months, 3 months into the season down the road. I don't know if the Red Sox are going to be totally comfortable just dropping him in as the starting catcher for the Boston Red Sox, right? Especially now that they're so focused. Especially now that they're so focused on rightfully getting their pitching to a good spot. Right? I think they're going to be cautious with exactly how they're being caught too. What about Buehler? I'd take a chance on Buehler. He just can't really be your only option. Best free agent options for a right-handed bat, Teoscar, Tyler O'Neill at the top of the list. Outside of that, I mean, Bregman, sure, right? Pete Alonso, sure. But I mean, all of them have issues. I just think, for the Red Sox, I'm not entirely sure the best move is signing a long-term deal with a guy like Bregman or Alonso. Who's going to be the biggest surprise next season, the MLB level for you, good or bad? I think Brian Bayo. Trade Dahlbeck, he deserves better. I agree. What's up, Joe? Alonso isn't leaving the Mets. Yeah, I'm personally, I have no interest in the Red Sox bringing over Alonso. Yeah, I think you sign the ace, right? It does so much for you if you can put up money for Max Fried or Corbin Burns would be. I'm not even getting my hopes up for a Corbin Burns because he's gonna be, he's up here, Fried's probably here, and then everyone else is like here. But I just if you could sign Max Fried, everything else gets so much easier because you don't have you aren't forced to put the big prospects on the table to get a pitcher. You aren't backed into a corner in these conversations for a tradable ace. You're not right. Like it's just it makes everything so much easier. Abreu and Yoshida to that's never going to happen, Steven. You are way too low. Trade idea is terrible? Yeah, it is. Love the video today, though. Spot on. Thank you. Appreciate it, Jesse. Yeah, I really hate putting out negative videos. It's just not who I am, right? I don't, I try not to focus on, ownership stuff because at the end of the day, I don't give a damn what John Henry said. What I care about is the product in the field. But I just, you sit there through these playoff games, man. You're seeing Ohtani, Lindor, Soto, even Judge last night, Mookie, pitching side, Yamamoto, Flaherty, right? Not even these crazy big names. Cole put out a really great start throughout this series or throughout the postseason, right? Maybe not last night when Rodon had a good, it's just, you see these stars stepping up in moments where stars are supposed to step up. And you go back to that conversation that John Henry had where he's like, yeah, we weren't really going to sign stars because you still got about the same amount of chance as everyone else. It's just so not true. Mr. Mike Madness has been here for 20 months, folks. Can we get some claps in the chat? That reminds me, we got to do our members only live stream. We'll probably do that. I'm thinking the week of Halloween and have a little Halloween. I pray there's a moment John Henry wakes up and starts caring about the Red Sox. Yeah, I do too. My hope is not so much that he wakes up and starts caring again. My hope is that he's backed himself so much into a corner that he's forced to care again, right? Or at least to the point where he opens up his checkbook a little bit more. I don't really care if your owner cares about winning. What I care about is whether or not he's willing to put up the money. If he gets backed into a corner and everyone's yelling at him, right? Board members, Theo, Craig, Cora, they're all like, dude, we have gotten you to the point that you wanted. Open up your goddamn checkbook, and he has to, then I'm in for it. What's up, Prodigy? We only got a couple minutes left in our power hour here. What makes me think I'm going to spend? I don't, right? I have none. I have no information that's leading me to believe he's going to spend. My hope again is that the ability of these players and the ability of the fan base and the ability of the front office and the coaching staff puts John Henry into a corner where he's forced to, right? He's forced to. Any chance Anthony Santander leaves zeros? Yeah, I think there is a pretty good chance. Yeah, versatility, right? Like every single thing that we've talked about has sort of pushed themselves into a corner. How do I feel about Fitz in the rotation? I love Fitz. Incredible guy. I do think there's a lot of hope for who he could be at the major league level. I love him. I don't want him to be in the rotation because that means he didn't get enough depth. Right? That just simply means that your top guys remained your top guys. The Houck, the Bayo, the cutter are still your 1, 2, 3. Or whatever. Giolito's, right, is in there. If you do your job, Fitz is in the bullpen. And I think that's a great spot to be on. Could you see us getting a guy like Severino and try and do what the Royals did? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I honestly, I wouldn't be, if that's the plan this offseason is just get the middle guys, I wouldn't be shocked at all. And you know what? It worked for the Royals. I wouldn't be totally opposed to it. I selfishly, I'm just kind of sick of making these videos about, James Paxton and Danny Jansen and Cooper Criswell and who else did we sign this offseason? Giolito and Hendricks, right? I want to react to you guys, right? I want, and this is all selfishly for just the channel itself. It's not even about the views. It's just about the vibes, right? How fun would it be? How fun would it be to see the Twitter notification breaking, Jeff Passan breaking, the Red Sox have signed. Yeah, Sal Romero, righty. Yeah, right. The Red Sox have signed Max Fried to a 7-year deal, and then boom, we're talking about it together within the next hour. Like, oh, come on. No. I'm not saying Giolito's a bad option at all. It's just, was that really like the wow factor that you've been waiting for? You know what I mean? Does anyone else think that maybe at 20, Anthony? I have no problem with Anthony's age. I really don't. Because Eric, now what fun would that be? What was I talking about? Oh, Anthony, right? Yeah, I have no problem with Anthony's age. If he's capable, do it, right? Devers came up at 19. That's a good one. Julio Rodriguez last year was super young. How old's Gunnar Henderson? He can't be that much older, right? Bryce. I mean, putting Bryce Harper, right? But that's the conversation, right? If you're good, you could be 17 years old. If you're able to hit major league pitching, get him up here. Like keeping a potential asset to your team. A potential asset to your team in AAA strictly because you don't want him coming up before he can legally drink, to me doesn't sound like a great game plan. My face is everyday Halloween worthy? Then you have not met enough people. Kind of, Daniel. Right? Ideally, you need an ace, but at the same time, too, you have like Tanner Houck is an ace 1A. Tanner Houck is an ace 1A for sure. You don't want a holiday situation either. Yeah, but the problem with saying you don't want a holiday situation is when he first came up, yeah, he was terrible, but the end of the year he was pretty good, wasn't he? Maybe I'm just making that up, but after he came back up, I thought he was like solid. He set a bunch of records, didn't he? For like rookies or something. Let's have a stream to get Soto. Yeah, if all of us put our heads together, maybe we can get Soto. Let me see. All right, so we got called up back up in July. And then since then, let's see. I didn't do fantastic. I was wrong. He was good against us. Hand up. I was wrong. But yeah, you do want to avoid that. But I also think too, not everyone's going to do the Jackson Holiday one, right? You're going to dress as Nightbot? Send me a picture of that, please. Chat, we're almost to Movember again. We're almost to Movember. My mustache is feeling ready to come out. We're gonna try and get like $5,000, I think, this year, because last year you guys crushed it. I think I'm gonna try and get some really cool stuff to give away too to people who donate. The donations thing just reminded me, but yeah, we're gonna be raising money again for Movember. If the Red Sox had to crowdsource for Juan Soto's contract, I think I'd just stop making YouTube videos. What mustache style? Whatever grows in, dude. Whatever grows in is what we're getting. Dressing up as Batman. I was thinking about dressing up as Batman. The Soto thing, I'm not even contemplating. What do we do with Willie McGee? Who? Halloween costume stream. Maybe I'll do a members only one. Dress up as a lefty pitcher. Yeah. Do they do sign and trades in baseball like NBA? I honestly don't even know what that is, so I would guess not. You dressing up as Joely? Man, the Juan Soto stuff drives me nuts. The fact that I'm not even considering it makes me so sad. I'd be so happy with Juan Soto. I'd be so happy. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking more in depth about. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking more in depth about the Massa trade. I think there's a lot to talk about there because I do think it has a big impact on the offseason. So we'll definitely be talking about that more tomorrow. So we getting green jerseys tomorrow or this year? God, I hope so. God, I hope so. I would buy so many green Red Sox jerseys. Fenway green, I'd buy like 20 of them. 20 years ago, once out of the Sox, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Versatility. I think he's gonna be a Yankee for a long time, which sucks. The only way I could see him going anywhere else is if someone like blows the Yankees out of the water, and I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think any other team is gonna outbid the Yankees for Juan Soto, which sucks so bad. The idea of especially if they I don't know. It drives me nuts. I mean, there are a couple options for Juan Soto, and I do think he'll hit free agency, but I'd be pretty shocked if he didn't go back to New York, which sucks so bad. Can I make a thumbnail of Soto in a green Red Sox jersey just to make you happy? I can look into it. Soto sucks, yeah. Yeah, maybe he'll go the way of Giancarlo Stanton, not be an issue. That'd be sick. I don't see it, but Soto going to the Dodgers would ruin baseball. I mean, it'd be ridiculous, right? You'd have Shohei, Mookie, Soto, Freddie, Yamamoto on that team. Yeah, I don't really see him to the Mets either. Will Smith, yeah, I mean, that would just be just ridiculous. I don't know. All right, so what do you guys think of this sort of format where we just sort of power through as many topics as humanly possible? Nice and concise, feels good. What do we think? Do you like it? Do you want to do more of it? Do you want to do less of it? Fun. You guys like it? It was great. I was here for 10 minutes. More? All right. So I think this could be the format going forward. I'll put out a poll just to be sure. But I like the idea of once every other week. So next week will be our longer 3-hour in-depth live stream. We might start that at 6:30. We might start that at 6:30. But so next week will be the long one, and then we'll just sort of do boom, boom, boom. Have people call into the stream. I've thought about that, Jesse. I get YouTube has some pretty ridiculous policies when it comes to monetization. I love you guys. I don't know if I trust you guys. I don't know if I trust you guys on a live stream to not demonetize me, right? More rumors and stuff and players linked to the Red Sox. Yeah. Once those start coming out, we'll be all over that, right? We'll be all over that. Obviously, I mean, we talk Sox every day. We're going to have a lot of conversations about a lot of people connected to the Red Sox. Good and bad, right? That's what, you were like, I don't know why Corbin's talking about Willie Adames. It's just because I want you guys to have it's just because I want you guys to have every single one possible. 7 would be better. I guess we'll stick with 7. We'll do 7 to like 9:30, 10. Do a Twitch stream. I've been thinking about doing the multi-stream thing. I don't know. Yeah, Jackson, that's my that's my fear, right? One slur and it's over. 7 p.m. Pacific time, dude. I gotta sleep, my guy. Starting at 10, ending at 1. I don't know. Doing the YouTuber, the power hours, yeah, that's kind of the ultimate goal would be to start getting people on here, having conversations with other YouTubers, because only an hour should be pretty easy. I've got some ideas in my head that we will definitely have conversations about. Get Jake from State Farm. All right, folks. So first power hour, I think it was pretty positive. I think we did a lot of good things. If you have any other suggestions as to what you want in the power hour, Jack came up with something. I totally forget what it was. Red Seat After Dark. Get Jake from Section 10. I don't know. He's not a super talkative guy. I could look into Milliken. We follow each other on Twitter. Maybe a possibility. Red Sox quick shots. That's it. Red Sox quick shot. I like it. If you guys have any other suggestions, let me know. Red Seat Ruckus. I kind of like that. DJ Music Cocktails. It would objectively be unbelievably funny if I just had like a guy doing a DJ set behind me, just myself. Like, it would be objectively very funny. True, yeah, true. Maybe I shouldn't have Jake. You just take it over. You like Red Sea Ruckus? I kind of like it too. The Frisky Misty Hour? Jack, I like the other idea a little bit better. If I'm being totally honest with you. Guy's always yapping. True, yeah. Jake would be too much, I think. Jake would be too much. All right, yeah. So tomorrow we're gonna be talking more in depth about the Massa thing. Mostly because I do think it's gonna have a big one. This weekend, what are we gonna be talking about? Honestly, I don't even know yet. I got a whole list of names we need to talk about in terms of potential targets. So we'll probably get through some of those, talk about some other stuff. And obviously we're gonna be talking about some Red Sox stuff. If you're new here, Jess talks Sox. I don't know if Jess would want to come on, to be honest with you. Mike, honestly, these are kind of good ideas for members only streams. I do want to do a red seat after dark. I think that's gonna be something we implement for members only this offseason. Because I think that'd be a lot of fun. Because then I don't have to worry about monetization or anything. So we'll definitely do one of those. I've been trying to get Jess on for a little bit. She doesn't seem too into the idea. It's mostly if I have to thing, but maybe I'll pull that card. Either way, guys, if you're new here, we do these once a week, sometimes for longer, sometimes for about this same time. We talk Sox every day. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button as well. Simply just helps this video out a ton. And it really is the best way to let me know, because I look at the likes and the views when it comes to what to talk about, what not to talk about. So if you do like this type of stuff, the power hours and everything, make sure you've hit that like button as well. Oh yeah, she would torch me for the entire time she was on here, Jack. I feel weird only getting off after an hour. I feel like I've been giving you guys enough. But again, it's the off season. I'm sure there'll be nights and weeks where we do much longer when we're supposed to be doing an hour. But for the first one, I really liked it. Thank you all very, very much for being here, and I will see you